Welcome to Life Workshop, where we discuss the forgotten basics. Hi everyone, again as usual, your most favorite people are here, Mo and Bo, the original most favorite co-host, I suppose.
Sure.
And then the topic of this episode is gossip. Is it good or bad? Just before we go any further, I say gossip is different than rumor a little bit. But at the same time, so I went and just kind of Googled it to see what the definition is in the dictionary. And the gossip is a casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. On the other hand, rumor is a currently circulating story or report of uncertain or doubtful truth. Of course, rumor can be sometimes we make shit up just to get the attention to. So sometimes it's done intentionally.
Like, do you know what happened to Doug lately?
Oh, that guy.
Did you hear that thing he said?
Actually, this is the thing, when we talk about other people, it's basically gossip, but is it good or bad? And they say statistically, we do average of 52 minutes of gossip every day. So as soon as
Only?
I suppose you're the one who takes my share. And it is said that there are three types of people. Basically, one is people who talk about people who talk about the news, and people who talk about ideas. Excuse me.
Did you watch that interview with Dave Mustaine where he talks about that?
No.
Because that's exactly what he said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but he also adds that he says the people that talk about people are stupid, and the people who talk ideas are generally more intelligent, and that's who he wants to be around.
It is generally said that.
He is sort of a dick, so.
Yeah.
And I just gossiped. or that's rumor, because I never met him.
But as a general rule, yeah, it is that. But why do we gossip? Again, that's another thing that there are different reasons. But again, I was watching some TED Talks and then they said that sometimes gossiping is good and healthy, and some of it there is definitely there are some good gossip. And when you say gossip, often people they talk nice about other people. But again, are you telling the truth? That's another story. Because if it's not truth, as far as I'm concerned, it's just not truth, and you should not say that. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's like giving a good reference to a bad employee. Can be harmful.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, you want to be truthful.
Just don't be a reference at all.
Yeah, no. No, I'm not saying that. Actually, you want to be, but you want to just talk the truth, the facts. And facts, when I say facts, the thing that has happened. Because very frequently we give it our own spin when we want to talk about somebody.
When someone comes and asks you, can you be a reference on my resume? Like, it's usually not so that you can talk shit about them.
That is true. But I would normally tell them, I say what it is the truth that I know, and I talk about the facts that I know.
Yeah.
And as I said, very frequently we give it a spin and we give our own impression, which becomes a second-hand information. You do something, then I say, for example, Bo is this, but I think that is my spin on that.
Well, yeah, that's everyone.
But it should not be that. But the fact would be, I did this, Bo did that. Yeah. Then let the other party make the decision. And of course, even that sometimes is far from truth, because if they don't know the whole background.
Yeah.
But you do your best that you can to talk simply facts, not your conclusion of the facts.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because actually, I should read this sentence that oh my God. You cannot consume gossip without bias and the presumption of your own experience. So basically, we give it our own spin. And which is not true anymore. It is my understanding of your thing. Unless if I mention it, for example, Bo is such a person in my opinion, but then your opinion is really your opinion.
Right.
It doesn't make it, again, the fact. It's better to speak very clearly what happened, and as much as possible to provide the related background to it too. Otherwise, if you remove the context, you can make everything, look the way that you want it to look.
Yeah.
So and this is the problem with the gossip that, it becomes, but shall we talk really about other people? I strongly believe we should, because this is the gossip that they say is, is good. It is gossip, but it's good. For example, if I want to deal with somebody whom you have dealt with, I want to get them to do a job for me. Of course, this is in regard to job. But let's say even no, I want to become friends with them.
Okay.
I want to get them to come, let's say, to my house. I want to be, spend more time with them. It is your responsibility to let me know if they know, something that is kind of off about them. But just again, the facts as much as possible. And my responsibility is just to be aware of it. That I have been told this, is it true or not? Because if you don't, then really, let's say a fraudulent person, a bad person can get away and can, repeat that behavior over and over. I'm talking serious stuff. I'm not talking minor things.
The first thing I thought of when you said that was like kids in like high school. Oh, find out if she likes me or not. But no, I get ways you explained longer. I kind of get what you're saying though. Like
I'm talking again.
If there are warning signs that you're like, hey, maybe this Brad seems like a nice guy, right? And I'm like, whoa.
Or it can,
like, yeah, he seems nice, but take it with a grain of salt because he's also this.
Yeah, or
right?
maybe this would be another thing. For example, the guy is very straightforward, says things, and if I'm a very soft person and I want everything sugar coated, I will get offended by that. But if you say, hey, you know what, the guy is a straight shooter, just says it as is. So if he does it, it's not about you. It's just that who he is. It's not rude. It is just who he is. He doesn't sugarcoat things. Basically, again, as I'm trying to say that, just say the facts. And sometimes it's important because it will create a better expectation for me, because I would have a better understanding and expectation. It's like, again, finding a job. When you go for a job, you have references. If you give a wrong reference, it's a bad idea. Actually, I had that experience recently, which I was very disappointed that we hired somebody, but we were very clearly, the reference basically didn't tell the truth about this person. So then my expectation was different. And it went wrong completely because I had to let her go even before it gets started.
Huh, geez.
So everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
That is where I'm going with these things. So that is, of course, in a job scenario, but it happens in relationship scenarios. And because of that, actually, normally it is said when you know somebody, you get to like them more. I mean, that is a normal thing. Or you normally say that, do you have friends that they are kind of jerks? Normally we do.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like Doug. No, I'm just kidding. It's the gossip.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're not here.
And you missed.
Yeah.
But again, you end up liking them because you know other good stuff about them.
Yeah.
So again, when somebody basically gives you an introduction of the other person that, let's say, I don't know, the third party, then it's not a bad idea. But again, as long as we talk about the facts, not our impression of the facts.
Yeah.
That is very important. And, to give the background. The only problem is when we twist them, when we say our version. And because of that, for example, it just doesn't work. We want to talk as much as possible the facts. Even when we do that, again, we make mistakes because we cannot declare all the background.
Yeah.
So one of the best way is to, ask the person if possible. But then one of the problems that happens sometimes if people are not open to feedback, or for example, we don't feel comfortable to speak very clearly about something, then we find it hard, then everything stays cloudy.
Yeah.
And because of that, the relationships become, I don't know, it becomes harder. You cannot make friends. You cannot have your friends to be, a real friend to be comfortable with. Every time you're on edge, it's like walking on an eggshell.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, it becomes uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Although if people, they become more honest and straightforward, and as I said, no sugarcoating, and if we get used to it, which we have that actually in some other cultures, it's a lot more common. In North America, or at least I should say, or maybe I should correct that. In here, I have noticed that we are a lot more try to be nice, but the rest of the world that I know, they don't try necessarily to be nice. And because of that, there is less confusion for other people too. They face it. For myself as a immigrant, when I came, I was really confused because I'm hearing something, but in action I see something else. And it wouldn't just flow. It took me years to understand how it works. But anyway, now we are going back again to concept of the gossip. So for gossip part, again, there are good and bad things to it if it's an introduction. But why do we gossip? This was the interesting part, that, the parts that they become at times harmful. One thing that I have realized, that sometimes I say this, I said we are weak as a person, strong as a group. What do I mean by that? Very frequently we talk negative about ourselves, but when we make it a group, our group is better. For example.
Let's hear. Okay, let's hear.
I don't think I have heard that in the stats that they say that often people, they talk 14 to 16 times bad about themselves versus one good thing that they say about themselves. But when it comes to the group part, that they group themselves politically, race-wise, gender-wise, in any other way that they make themselves as a group, they consider themselves better than the other group.
Yeah.
But when it comes as an individual, they consider themselves not as good normally.
Yeah.
So,
well, you want to lower expectations.
No,
right? so that when you do something good, you look better, because you're like, no.
I don't think that's the reasoning. It's just generally as an individual we are weaker, as a group we are superior. So the concept of gossip actually, I believe, has something to do with this. So in order that I bond with you, I have to talk bad about somebody else. I have to create an enemy, because I will not bond with you unless if there is something against us.
Okay.
I'm going to be very clear one more time. Again, normally we bond when there is something the opposite of us, because I want you to be on my group.
Right.
So sometimes we make it up that person that is different than us is not as good. So we create an enemy, although it doesn't have to be that way. It could, and if we switch our way of thinking, it would completely be different. If we would switch our thinking, instead of thinking about a person that we create one, there are enough problems in the whole world existing that we don't have to create something as a common enemy. We have those things already existing that we can fix them. Am I making sense? For example,
no.
Okay. For example, we have poverty that is going on. That's the common.
We can't gossip about poverty.
But no.
It's not even. It's just a. It's a.
No, that's not what I meant.
Thoughts or something.
No, for in order to bond, for the bonding part between, if I want to bond, our bonding should be against something or so somebody.
We just bitch about not getting paid enough.
You can.
Yeah.
That's that's the poverty, kind of related in that line. But what I'm trying.
Sorry, I'm still back there.
But what I'm trying to say, in order for us to bond, one reason we do gossip, because we want to bond. So in order to bond, we need a common enemy.
Yeah.
And sometimes we make it up.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, we don't have to make up that common enemy. It is already existing. We can find a common enemy, which is sometimes is not a person, it's a problem, or is an ideology. And then we can attack the ideology or the problem itself, not the person.
Isn't it better just to bond through adversity?
You know what? There are sweet talks. In reality, I'm not sure if it happens. Again, it's an ideology. That is what I'm trying to say. You know, bonding doesn't happen if I'm connected with everybody. Then who is my group? Everybody. Then it's not a group. It's everybody.
Sure, but you bond through, like, going through something together, right?
Correct.
We went through building this house together.
That's
well, I'm not building it, but whatever. We did mechanical systems.
No, and that is good.
Which was a thing. It was adversity, right?
That is good. But that one again is a bonding against something. We didn't make it up. It was a problem or is a challenge that was existing. That is what I'm trying.
Yeah.
But
when
we gossip,
bonding through challenges, through overcoming challenges that would are in our way.
Correct. So it goes back to the very first thing that we talked about. There are three types of people. People talk about people who talk about news, and people who talk about ideas. It goes back to that. So we can gossip. I mean, we don't need to gossip in that fashion. We can bond, because one reason for gossip is bonding. But we can bond instead of creating something. We can find the things that are already there that needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I'm trying to say. So, but switch of thought, again, you can bond with other people without creating a common enemy.
Yeah.
Am I?
So when something happens, okay, this thing happened. Look at that stupid thing Dan did. Like what? What's happening? Sometimes you just have to say something about it. You're like, Muhammad, you know what I saw happen? Dan did blah blah blah, right? And you're like, oh, Dan.
Actually, that is
Is that bad gossip, or is that just holy shit, something happened? And I have to talk about it.
Sometimes it's venting too, but the venting is itself is a kind of a gossip, and sometimes it's not bad. And this is actually another thing. Can you imagine if you would speak everything that goes in through your head?
No, that wouldn't be good for anyone.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
But sometimes, to some extent, we do that to a lower level with friends about somebody else.
Yeah.
Now, imagine when we have in that level, we are talking about Dan, and then, because you cannot go tell Dan, what the hell are you doing? You know, that's stupid.
No,
sometimes
I've told Dan that.
Well, if you do, that's okay. But sometimes some of the things you can't.
Yeah.
Or you don't feel comfortable, or maybe he doesn't feel comfortable, but at the same time it's just killing you. You have to talk about it. So sometimes we do that. Then when it comes to that part, then you go and just let it out with a third person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to realize, if I'm the listener, I have to realize that, well, it is gossip. You are talking bad about Dan, but really you don't mean Dan is a terrible person, the whole Dan and the whole thing. You're talking about one stupid mistake that he has made, and actually it is your idea of what he has done.
Mm-hmm.
Then I should be careful not to act on it and not to go relay the message. That is where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And that is where the gossip becomes a problem. When I take that you said it in a different environment, I give it probably my own spin to give it to Dan, or I draw conclusions on it. Although really you were just venting for a moment, you couldn't hold it, and it's not really good to keep it to yourself too. So some of it is, I would say, we all do. And then now, my responsibility as a person who is listening to this gossip is, first of all, to kind of calm you down, if I know the scenario, to say, but Dan has this good stuff about him to do.
So would it be your responsibility then not to turn the gossip into rumor?
That's correct. Absolutely. And then it's my responsibility to help you to see the good things about Dan as well, if I know Dan.
I don't want to hear the good things about Dan right now. I'm mad at him.
But again, there are some people that are generally gossipers. This one that I'm talking about, that is a normal case scenario that, we say something, we don't mean it quite. But if it is somebody's really gossiper, and you should have to see what is the intention behind the gossip. That as I said, are you just venting, or are you trying really to harm him?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you trying to bond with me, and you think this way you can bond with me? What are you trying to do? And is it just a rumor that you're making shit up just to get something going. You like the drama, So we should see what the intention of the gossip is. So that would help us kind of better understand how to address it. But no, if somebody is basically, let's say, a shit disturber or likes to do that, then definitely he's going to do it about me too. If you do that, definitely I'm no exception. Mm-hmm. In that case, you want to stay away from this person as much as possible. But if, again, I go back to this, that if we can make the person to be as realistic and make them aware, hey, if you do that about them, probably you're doing that about me too.
Yeah.
Maybe that is something that you want to improve on.
Yeah.
And I have done that, actually. I have done that in one case scenario. But that you just confront the person. And if that, I'm not going to feel comfortable to be around you, because definitely you're going to do the same thing about me.
Mm-hmm.
So you try to get the other party to be a little bit more reasonable. Or another option is that to say, hey, I'm going to tell Dan that you have said just to make sure that is it true. Do you feel comfortable if I relay the message? To make them sure, to make sure that, they're kind of stopping there.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
Anyway, of course, I went a little bit over a few things. If you don't mind, we are going to address this in another podcast again. There are a few other things about the gossip that, we can talk about. But in the meantime, if you guys can think about that, do you gossip? I mean, I think everybody does. We talk, and, what's the intention? Why are you gossiping? And if somebody else is gossiping and you're the listener, how do you react? Do you think it's your responsibility, which I believe is, to help them to become more realistic and be more factual? And then why are you doing that? Are you doing to protect me? Are you doing to harm the other party? Or you just like chaos?
Maybe you don't even know.
And sometimes we are a slave of our behaviors. We just don't know.
That might be something to ask yourself, right?
Yeah. And actually, it's a good way of just to see where is this coming from, and maybe just ask the person, with simple questions. Anyway, again, life is a lot simpler than we think. It's just simply we do that. We just simply just go confront it in a very simplistic way. As a child, we ask a question. Again, life is simple. We make it complicated. We'll talk soon. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye now.